Hi, I'm Josie Andrews, and this is the story of how I found out my whole family lied to me, and it cost my dream of becoming a lawyer. Mandy and I weren't always like this. We were close. Really close. We did everything together growing up. When we were born, Mandy almost didn't make it. She spent weeks in the NICU fighting for every breath. My parents sat by her incubator day and night, praying she'd pull through. And she did. She's a fighter, always has been. I think that's when it started. The extra attention, the golden child treatment. Don't get me wrong, my parents loved us both. I never doubted that. But Mandy got the extra. The extra praise, the extra indulgence, the extra everything, and I understood. She'd fought so hard just to be here. How could I be upset about that? We were both smart kids. We both skipped grades, finished at the top of our classes. We pushed each other, competed in that healthy twin way. People always asked us what we wanted to be when we grew up. A lawyer, I'd say without hesitation. I wanted to stand in courtrooms, fight for justice, make a difference. Business executive, Mandy would answer with that confident smile. CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Our grandmother Susan believed in us. She believed in us so much that before she passed away when we were 7, she set up college funds for both of us. $250,000 each from her life insurance policy. It was her way of making sure we'd never have to choose between our dreams and our finances. "You girls are going to do amazing things," Grandma Susan said the last time I saw her. "This money is for your futures. Don't waste it." We promised we wouldn't. Fast forward to senior year of high school. I applied to law schools, good ones. Mandy applied to business programs at prestigious universities. We were both nervous, excited, terrified. This was it. This was our future unfolding. The acceptance letter started coming in March. I got into a great law school upstate with a partial scholarship. It wasn't Harvard, but it was respected, had an excellent bar passage rate, and most importantly, it was my dream coming true. When I opened that letter, I screamed so loud Mandy came running into my room. "I got in!" I shouted, waving the letter. "I'm gonna be a lawyer!" "Oh my God, Josie!" Mandy squealed, hugging me tight. "I knew you would. You're brilliant." A week later, Mandy got her letter. One of the most prestigious business schools in the country. "I got in," Mandy announced, bursting into the kitchen where the whole family was eating dinner. "And I got a partial scholarship too." "That's wonderful, honey," my mom exclaimed, jumping up to hug her. "See? Both our girls are so smart," my dad said proudly. Both got scholarships, both going to achieve their dreams. I was happy for her. We were both going to make it. We both had our grandmother's college funds. We both had partial scholarships to help. Everything was falling into place. Until it wasn't. 2 weeks after our acceptance letters arrived, my parents called me into the living room. Just me. Not Mandy. I sat down on the couch and immediately I knew something was wrong. My dad looked stressed, tired. My mom had been crying. "Sweetheart, we need to talk to you about something," my dad said quietly. My heart started pounding. "What's wrong? Is someone sick?" "No, nothing like that," my mom said quickly. "It's just, we're in trouble, honey. Financial trouble." I felt my stomach drop. "What kind of trouble?" "The bank is foreclosing on the house," my dad said, his voice breaking. "We're going to lose it. We've been struggling for months, and we can't keep up with the mortgage anymore." "We're going to be homeless, Josie," my mom added, tears streaming down her face. "We've tried everything. We don't know what else to do." I sat there, frozen. Our house, the house I grew up in, the house where Grandma Susan used to visit us, where we celebrated every birthday and holiday, where Mandy and I learned to ride bikes in the driveway. "We hate to ask this," my dad continued, his hands shaking. "But we need help. We need your college fund, Josie. If we can use it to save the house, to pay off the debt, we can keep our family together." I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. "My college fund?" I whispered. "I know it's not fair," my mom said, reaching for my hand. "I know you worked so hard, but we don't have any other option. We're desperate, sweetheart." I thought about law school, about the acceptance letter sitting on my desk upstairs, about standing in a courtroom someday, making a difference. But then I thought about my parents losing everything, about us being homeless. About Mandy having to give up her dream too. What about Mandy's fund? I asked quietly. My parents exchanged a look. Her school is so expensive, my dad said carefully. And she worked so hard for that acceptance. We thought, maybe you could take some time off, work for a bit, and go to school later. You're so smart, Josie. You'll always have opportunities. My throat felt tight. My eyes burned with tears I refused to let fall. But what choice did I have? They were my parents, my family. I couldn't let them lose everything. Okay, I said, my voice barely audible. Okay, use my fund. Save the house. My mom burst into tears and hugged me. My dad thanked me over and over. And just like that, my dream of becoming a lawyer was gone. I got 2 jobs. During the day, I worked as an office clerk at an accounting firm. At night, I worked as a cashier at a gas station. I'd leave the house at 7 in the morning and wouldn't get home until past midnight most nights. Every paycheck, I gave almost everything to my parents. They needed help with bills, with groceries, with keeping the house we'd supposedly saved. Thank you, honey, my mom would say each time, tucking the money into her purse. And then she'd go right back to scrolling through her phone, showing my dad pictures Mandy had posted from campus. Look at this. Mandy's at a networking event with executives from Fortune 500 companies, my mom gushed, holding up her phone. That's our girl, my dad said proudly. I stood there in my gas station uniform, exhausted, my feet aching, my back sore. Sometimes I was so tired I'd just fall into bed still wearing that uniform, too drained to even shower. Meanwhile, Mandy was living her best life. Her social media was full of photos from her fancy campus, her nice apartment, parties with friends, studying in beautiful libraries, attending conferences. I was happy for her. I really was. She was my sister, and she deserved success. But late at night, when I couldn't sleep because my body hurt so much from standing all day, I'd feel this ache in my chest. This jealousy mixed with heartbreak. That should have been me too. I should have been in a dorm room, studying case law, preparing for mock trials. I should have been building my future, not just surviving paycheck to paycheck. My parents noticed I was sad. How could they not? One night, about 2 years into this routine, my dad pulled me aside. Josie, you should think about going back to school, my dad said gently. I stared at him. With what money, Dad? Apply for scholarships, try community college. You're so smart, you could get a full ride. So I did. I applied to the local community college for their accounting program. It wasn't law school. It wasn't my dream, but it was practical. And I was already working at an accounting firm anyway. I got a full scholarship, but my parents still needed money. The bills didn't stop just because I was going to school. I quit my night job at the gas station so I could attend evening classes. I kept my day job at the accounting firm and gave 80% of every paycheck to my parents. I kept 20% for my own expenses, gas, food, books. I'd work from 7 to 5, then rush to campus for classes from 6 to 9 at night. I'd get home exhausted, do homework until past midnight, sleep for a few hours, and do it all over again. Mandy stopped calling as much, stopped texting. She's just really stressed with school, my mom explained when I asked about her. You know how demanding her program is. I nodded. I understood. I was stressed too, but nobody seemed to notice that. Meanwhile, my parents' conversations were still filled with Mandy, her grades, her internships, her accomplishments. Mandy made Dean's List again, my dad announced at dinner one night. That's great, I said, pushing food around my plate. She's doing so well, my mom added. We're so proud of her. I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask if they were proud of me too. If they noticed that I was working myself to death while going to school. If they cared that I'd given up everything for this family. But I didn't. I just smiled and said, that's wonderful. 4 years later, I was finishing up my accounting degree at community college. I'd managed to survive, barely. I was exhausted, burnt out, and honestly, I'd lost sight of who I used to be. The girl who dreamed of being a lawyer felt like a lifetime ago. One evening, my parents sat me down with huge smiles on their faces. Mandy's graduating, my mom said, practically glowing. And she's summa cum laude, the highest honors. She's giving the commencement speech. My dad added proudly, can you believe it? Our Mandy speaking at graduation. That's amazing, I said, and I meant it. Despite everything, I was proud of her. We're all going, my mom continued. It's 4 hours away, but we're making a family trip out of it. You're coming, right? Of course I was coming. She was my sister, my twin. No matter what had happened, I wanted to be there for her big day. I'll be there, I said. The drive to Mandy's university took 4 hours. My parents talked the entire time about how proud they were, how far Mandy had come, how successful she was going to be. I sat in the back seat, quiet, thinking about how different my life could have been. We arrived at the campus. It was beautiful, sprawling, everything you'd imagine an elite university to be. Students and families were everywhere, dressed up, taking photos, celebrating. We found our seats in the auditorium. It was packed. Hundreds of people there to watch their children, siblings, friends graduate. The ceremony began. There were speeches from the dean, from distinguished faculty, and then they introduced Mandy, our summa cum laude graduate, who will be delivering the student commencement address, the dean announced. Mandy Andrews. The crowd erupted in applause. My parents were on their feet immediately, cheering louder than anyone. Mandy walked across the stage in her cap and gown, the summa cum laude honors cord draped around her neck. She was glowing, confident, beautiful. She stepped up to the podium and began her speech. She talked about hard work, about perseverance, about the importance of family. The audience was captivated. She was a natural speaker, commanding the room, and then she said it. I want to thank my parents, Gerald and Anna Andrews, Mandy said, her voice echoing through the auditorium. And most especially, I want to thank my twin sister, Josie. Josie, you gave up your college fund so I could attend this incredible institution. You worked 2 jobs while I pursued my dreams here. You sacrificed your own education, your own future, so I could be standing here today. Everything I've accomplished, every honor I've received, I owe to you. Thank you for loving me enough to give up everything for me. The audience erupted in applause. People were crying. They thought it was beautiful. But me, I was frozen in my seat. My college fund, my sacrifice. So she could be here. Not to save the house, not to prevent us from being homeless, to send Mandy to her dream school. They lied. They lied to me. My parents suddenly went rigid next to me. I could feel them tense up. I stood up, slowly, while everyone around me was still clapping. Josie, sit down, my mom hissed, grabbing my arm. Josie, please, my dad whispered urgently. Not here. I turned to them, my parents, the people I'd trusted my entire life. You lied to me, I said, my voice shaking but loud enough for the people around us to hear. Josie, we can explain, my mom said, her face pale. You lied to me, I repeated, louder this time. There was no foreclosure. There was no financial crisis. You took my college fund to pay for Mandy's expensive school. You took my dream so she could have hers. People around us were starting to stare. The applause was dying down. We'll talk about this later, my dad said desperately. Please, sit down. But I was done sitting down. I was done being quiet. I was done sacrificing while everyone else got to live their dreams. I worked 2 jobs for 4 years, I said, my voice breaking. I gave you my paychecks. I thought I was saving our family. But I was just funding Mandy's lifestyle, wasn't I? Her apartment, her expenses, her parties. My mom was crying now. My dad looked like he wanted to disappear. On stage, Mandy had stopped speaking. She was staring at me, her face unreadable. You all lied to me, I said one more time, and I am done. I grabbed my purse and walked out of that auditorium. Behind me, I could hear my parents calling my name. I could hear the murmurs of the crowd. But I didn't look back. Not this time. I pushed through the doors and kept walking. Through the lobby, down the steps, across the campus lawn. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I needed to get away. My phone started buzzing in my purse. I ignored it. The ceremony was still going on inside. My parents couldn't just leave. They'd waited years for this moment. Mandy's big day, her triumph. They weren't going to walk out on that. Not even for me. They never did choose me, did they? I found a bench far from the building and sat down. My hands were shaking. My whole body was shaking. 4 years. 4 years of working myself to exhaustion. 4 years of handing over my paychecks. 4 years of believing I was saving my family from losing everything, and it was all a lie. They used me. My parents used my love for them, my loyalty, my fear of losing our home. They manipulated me into giving up everything so Mandy could have her dream school. And Mandy? Mandy knew. She knew the whole time and she said nothing. Worse, she just announced it to hundreds of people like it was something to be proud of. My phone buzzed again and again and again. I finally pulled it out. 15 missed calls from Mom, 10 from Dad, 3 from Mandy. Text messages were flooding in. Josie, please come back. We can explain. Please don't do this, Dad. Where are you? We need to talk. Josie, I'm sorry. Please let me explain. I turned my phone off and put it back in my purse. About an hour later, I heard footsteps approaching. I didn't look up. I knew who it was. Josie, my mom said softly. I stayed silent. We've been looking everywhere for you, my dad added. Honey, please, my mom continued, sitting down next to me. Let us explain. I finally looked up at them. They both looked worried, stressed. Good. Explain what? I asked, my voice cold. Explain how you lied to me? Explain how you stole my future. We didn't steal anything, my dad said quickly. We were going to pay you back. With what money, Dad? I interrupted. The money I've been giving you for 4 years, thinking it was for bills? Was that a lie too? They exchanged a look. That was all the answer I needed. Oh my God, I whispered. You've been taking my paychecks and giving them to Mandy too, haven't you? For her expenses, her lifestyle, everything. We needed to support her. Miss, my mom said defensively. That school is expensive, she needed. And what about what I needed? I shouted, standing up. I needed my college fund for my education. I got into law school, Mom. A good law school. That was my dream. We know, sweetheart, my dad said, reaching for my arm. I pulled away. But Mandy's school was so prestigious, my mom explained. It was such an incredible opportunity for her. We thought, how about me? You thought Mandy's dream was worth more than mine. I finished. You've always thought that. That's not true, my mom protested. We love you both equally. No, you don't, I said, and saying it out loud made it real, made it hurt even more. You never have. Mandy has always been the golden child, the one who gets everything. And I've always been the one who gives everything up for her. Josie, my dad started. There was no foreclosure, was there? I asked. We were never going to lose the house. The silence was deafening. Answer me, I demanded. No, my mom finally admitted, tears streaming down her face. There wasn't. But we didn't know what else to do. Mandy's school was so expensive, and we wanted to give her that chance. So you chose to lie to me, I said flatly. You made me think our family was going to be homeless. You made me feel like I had to choose between my dreams and our survival. And it was all a lie so Mandy could go to her dream school. We were going to tell you eventually. My dad said weakly. When? I asked. After I'd wasted my entire 20s working dead-end jobs? After Mandy became a CEO and I was still just an office clerk? Footsteps approached again. We all turned. Mandy was walking toward us, still in her cap and gown, the summa cum laude cord around her neck. She'd been crying. Her makeup was smudged. Josie, Mandy said quietly. Don't, I said, holding up my hand. Don't you dare. I need to talk to you, Mandy insisted. You've said enough, I replied. In front of hundreds of people, you said plenty. I was trying to thank you, Mandy started. Thank me? I laughed bitterly. You stood up there and humiliated me. You made me look like some pathetic martyr who gave up everything for you. Do you have any idea how that felt? I didn't mean it like that, Mandy said, but her voice wavered. Yes, you did, I said. You wanted everyone to know. You wanted them all to see how much was sacrificed for you. How important you are, how you're the successful twin. Mandy's face flushed. That's not. You knew, I interrupted. This whole time, you knew Mom and Dad lied to me. You knew they used my college fund for your education, and you said nothing. I thought you knew, Mandy said weakly. I thought you agreed to it. Lies. I agreed to save our family from losing our home, I shouted, not to fund your luxury college experience. Josie, please, my mom begged. We're still a family. No, I said firmly. A family doesn't lie. A family doesn't manipulate. A family doesn't sacrifice one child for another. I looked at all three of them. My parents who raised me, my twin sister who had been close to my entire life, and I felt nothing but betrayal. I need you to tell me something, I said, looking directly at Mandy. And I need the truth. Mandy shifted uncomfortably. What? Did you really get a partial scholarship? I asked. The way Mandy's face changed told me everything I needed to know. She looked at our parents, then back at me. Mandy, I said slowly, did you get a scholarship or not? Mandy started, her voice barely a whisper. I didn't. The world tilted. You didn't, I repeated flatly. There were scholarships available, but I didn't qualify, Mandy tried to explain. So you lied, I said. You stood in our kitchen senior year and told everyone you got a partial scholarship, then you lied so I wouldn't question where my money was going. We didn't want you to worry, my mom jumped in quickly. We didn't want you to feel like you were stealing from me, I finished. Like you were taking every single penny of my $250,000 college fund to send Mandy to one of the most expensive schools in the country? It wasn't just your fund, my dad said defensively. We contributed too. How much? I demanded. How much of your money went to Mandy's education versus how much of my inheritance from Grandma Susan plus my paycheck I give you every payday? Silence. That's what I thought, I said. Josie, I'm sorry, Mandy said, fresh tears streaming down her face. I really am. I should have told you. I should have. You should have told them no, I interrupted. When Mom and Dad came to you with this plan, you should have said no. You should have said, I can't take my sister's future from her. But you didn't. You wanted that school so badly, you were willing to let me lose everything for it. I worked hard, Mandy said, her voice rising. I earned my place there. I graduated summa cum laude. On my money, I shouted back. You earned nothing, Mandy. Every single class you took, every single meal you ate, every single night you slept in that nice apartment, I paid for it. I paid for it with my future, my dreams, my youth. That's not fair, Mandy protested. I didn't ask you to work 2 jobs. No, you just asked me to give up my entire college fund based on a lie, I said. And then you took my paychecks too, didn't you? All that money I thought was going to bills and groceries, it was going to you. Your spending money, your expenses, your lifestyle. Mandy looked at our parents again. Some of it, my mom admitted quietly. She needed. She needed? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. What about what I needed? What about when I got accepted to law school and had to turn it down because I couldn't afford it? What about when I had to choose community college and accounting instead of my actual dream? What about when I came home every night so exhausted I couldn't even change out of my uniform? We noticed, my dad said. That's why I told you to go back to school. Oh, how generous of you, I said sarcastically. After you'd already stolen my future, you threw me the scraps and told me to be grateful for community college. We were proud of you, my mom insisted. We are proud of you. Stop lying, I yelled. Stop lying to me. You were never proud of me. It was always Mandy, Mandy, Mandy. Everything was always about her. I would come home from working 14-hour days, and all you could talk about was Mandy's social media photos, Mandy's parties, Mandy's internships. Mandy this, Mandy that. That's because we felt guilty, my mom burst out. Every time we looked at you, we felt guilty about what we'd done. It was easier to focus on Mandy than to face what we'd done to you. The admission hung in the air. You felt guilty, I repeated slowly. You knew it was wrong. You knew you were destroying my life, and you did it anyway. We thought we'd have time to make it up to you, my dad said desperately. We thought once Mandy graduated and got a good job, we could help you go back to school. We could. I don't want your help anymore, I said. I don't want anything from any of you. Josie, please, Mandy said, reaching for me. You're my sister, my twin. We can work through this. I stepped back, away from her hand. No, I said firmly. We can't. You stood on that stage today and thanked me for my sacrifice like it was noble, like it was beautiful. But it wasn't a sacrifice, Mandy. It was theft. You stole 4 years of my life. You stole my dreams. You stole my future. And you did it without a second thought, because what Mandy wants, Mandy gets. Right? Mandy's face crumpled. That's not fair. Fair? I said. You want to talk about fair? Is it fair that I worked 2 jobs while you partied? Is it fair that I gave up law school while you lived in a luxury apartment? Is it fair that I drove 4 hours to watch you celebrate your success that was built on my stolen money? I worked hard for my degree. Mandy insisted again. With my money, I shouted. You keep saying you worked hard, but you didn't work for it. I worked for it. I'm the one who stood on my feet for 14 hours a day. I'm the one who went to bed too exhausted to shower. I'm the one who gave up everything. You just showed up and took what I earned. What do you want from us? My dad asked, his voice breaking. Tell us what we can do to make this right. I looked at all three of them. My family, the people I'd loved and trusted my entire life. You know what? I said. Be happy I didn't become a lawyer. Because if I had, I'd be taking you all to court right now. Fraud, misrepresentation, financial exploitation. But I won't. I'm just gonna cut you all off. Josie, my mom started. And if you can lie to me this way, I continued, I know one day you will lie to me again. I can't trust you, any of you. That's not fair, my dad protested. We made a mistake. A mistake? I said. A mistake is forgetting to tell me something. This was 4 years of deliberate deception. 4 years of watching me suffer and saying nothing. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. There's nothing you can do, I said firmly. You can't give me back those 4 years. You can't give me back my acceptance to law school. You can't give me back my 20s that I spent working instead of learning. It's gone. You took it from me, and it's gone. So what now? My mom asked, crying openly. You're just gonna walk away from us? Yes, I said simply. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Josie, we're your family, Mandy said desperately. You can't just... You stopped being my family the moment you decided your dreams were worth more than mine, I interrupted. The moment you lied to me, the moment you watched me suffer and did nothing. I turned to Mandy one last time. Mandy, I said, I want you to know something. Mandy looked up at me, her eyes red from crying. Every time you look in the mirror, you're going to see me, I continued. We're twins. We have the same face. And every single time you see your reflection, you're going to remember what you did to me. You're going to remember that everything you have, everything you accomplished, was built on my stolen dreams. Mandy's face crumpled, but I wasn't done. I turned to my parents. And you too, I said. Every time you look at Mandy, every time you see her success, every time you feel proud of her, you're gonna see me. You're gonna remember the daughter you sacrificed, the daughter you lied to, the daughter you threw away so your golden child could shine. Josie, please, my mom begged. You all made your choice 4 years ago, I said. You chose Mandy over me, you chose lies over honesty, you chose her future over mine. Now you have to live with that choice. And trust me, I'm going to make sure you never forget it. I looked at all three of them one last time. Goodbye, I said. Then I left them standing there. The bus ride home was 4 hours long. 4 hours of staring out the window, watching the landscape blur past. 4 hours of replaying everything in my head. The speech, the lies, the confrontation. 4 hours of wondering what came next. When I finally got home, the house was empty. My parents and Mandy were probably still at the university. I went straight to my room and started packing. Clothes, toiletries, important documents, the few possessions that actually mattered to me. Everything else could stay. 2 suitcases and a duffel bag. Everything I owned that mattered fit into 3 bags. I called my best friend Jonna. Within an hour, she and her mom arrived. They helped me load my car, and I followed them to their house. Mrs. Thompson had already prepared the guest room. No questions asked, no judgment. Just a safe place to land. 4 years later, I graduated from community college summa cum laude, the highest honors, just like Mandy. But I didn't give a speech. My parents didn't know about my graduation. I didn't invite them. I didn't invite Mandy. It was my moment. Mine alone. I'd finished my accounting degree. It wasn't law school, but it was mine. I'd earned it, every credit hour, with no one's help but my own. 2 years after that, I'm now a certified forensic accountant, working for a firm 3 states away. I investigate corporate embezzlement, money laundering, financial crimes. I help prosecutors build cases. I find the lies hidden in spreadsheets and bank statements. It wasn't standing in a courtroom as a lawyer, but in a way it was close. I was still fighting for justice. Still making sure the truth came out. Still making sure people who lied and stole faced consequences. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd learned to spot lies and deception because I'd lived with them for 4 years. I haven't heard from my family. They tried at first, but I cut them off completely. Blocked their numbers, returned their letters unopened, made it clear there was no path back. I'd built a life without them, a good life, a life I was proud of. I'd earned every single piece of it myself. No lies, no manipulation, no stolen dreams, just me, working hard, building something real. Sometimes the people who are supposed to protect you are the ones who hurt you most. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away and build something better on your own. So, that's my story for today. Please hit that like and subscribe button, I will appreciate it. And comment below. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted? Thank you for listening. This is Melodic Vengeance. I will see you on the next one.
If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and drop a comment below. Don't forget to follow for more content just like this. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.